Okay, let's get into this deep dive on evident premeditation. It's uh, it's a really significant aggravating circumstance in Philippine law.
Absolutely. Article 14, paragraph 13. And yeah, when it's proven, it seriously bumps up the penalty.
Right. So our mission today really is to understand how the law tries to separate, a sudden crime of passion
Yeah, impulsive act.
from something planned out,
Mm.
something born from like cool, calculated malice.
And that word evident is key. It can't just be a hunch. The premeditation has to be obvious, clearly shown by external actions, things you can actually point to.
Not just guessing what was in someone's head. It needs real proof of planning.
Exactly. Proof that shows a kind of heightened moral corruption, you could say.
Hmm.
Which is why the prosecution faces, well, three pretty tough requirements.
Three essential elements they have to nail down. What's the first one?
First, they need to establish the time of determination. Basically, pin down when the offender actually decided, okay, I'm going to commit this crime. It's like the starting point for the whole plan.
Yeah. The moment the idea solidified,
Right.
like hitting confirm on a terrible choice.
Sort of, yeah. It's that temporal anchor. Second, there has to be what's called a manifest indication.
Okay, what does that mean in practice?
It means there's evidence, an act, that clearly shows the person stuck to that decision. They didn't just think it and forget it.
So like actively doing something.
Yes. Classic examples are things like buying or sharpening a weapon beforehand, maybe scouting a location, or even, in some really disturbing cases, digging a grave ahead of time.
Chilling. So the law is punishing the persistence, the commitment to the malicious plan itself?
Definitely. And the third requisite, it's the sufficient time lapse.
The reflection period.
Right. There needs to have been enough time between deciding to commit the crime and actually doing it
Uh-huh.
for the accused to have thought about the consequences. Enough time for their conscience, theoretically, to have maybe stopped them.
That's where it gets kind of philosophical, but also very practical in court. How much time is sufficient?
Well, it varies. But let's look at some examples. They really illustrate the manifest indication and the time-lapse ideas.
Good idea, like that Ompad case. That one seems pretty calculated.
Oh, definitely. Pastor Louboutin's actions there were quite systematic. It wasn't just sudden anger. He apparently got his accomplices drunk on purpose.
To lower their inhibitions, you mean?
Exactly. Revealed the plan only after they were intoxicated, and then, bam, had the ammunition ready right when needed. That shows serious preparation and active management of the whole thing.
That's a clear manifest indication that the planning is obvious.
Textbook example. And then there's the reflection period itself. The courts talk about needing cool and deep meditation.
Which brings us to cases like Penal. That one's striking.
It really is. The accused agreed to become a hormentado, which meant, well, agreeing to kill the first couple of people they met in the market.
A horrifying agreement.
And then, crucially, they traveled for a full day and a night before the killing. The court said that journey, that was the sufficient time lapse, plenty of time to reflect and turn back.
A whole day and night. Seems clear. But then you see other cases.
Right, it gets nuanced. In Blanco, the court decided 15 minutes between the initial argument and the shooting wasn't enough time. The rage was still too fresh, presumably.
15 minutes, not enough.
Okay. But then, look at Dum Dum Jr. There, the Supreme Court found that even just 1 hour could be sufficient for reflection.
Wow. So 15 minutes is too hot. But an hour is cool enough for cool thought and reflection. That's a fine line.
It is. It suggests the court sees an hour as enough of a break from the initial impulse, enough time for that internal debate, that weighing of consequences to potentially happen.
Makes you think. Okay, quick clarification on some tricky situations. What if someone plans to kill person A, but ends up killing person B by mistake? Does premeditation still apply?
Generally, no. If the victim is different from the intended victim, the premeditation usually doesn't carry over. The exception is if the actual victim was sort of within the general scope of the plan.
Like intending to attack anyone in a certain group and hitting one member of that group?
Exactly, like an attack on any police officer at the checkpoint versus planning to kill Officer Cruz specifically, but hitting Officer Reyes instead. Very different scenarios legally.
Got it. And what about robbery? Planning is sort of baked into robbery, right?
Uh-huh.
Especially with multiple people involved.
That's a really important distinction the courts make. Yes, robbery involves planning, but planning the robbery itself doesn't automatically mean there was separate additional premeditation specifically to kill someone during that robbery.
So if a death happens during the robbery, say, because the victim fought back unexpectedly.
Then the evident premeditation might not apply to the homicide charge itself, even if it applies to the robbery. The intent to kill needs its own period of planning and reflection, separate from just planning the theft.
Okay, that's crucial. So wrapping this up for everyone listening, the big takeaway is that evident premeditation hinges entirely on objective external evidence.
Concrete proof. Things like timing, specific actions taken. It's a safeguard against convicting someone based on, just angry words or suspicion. The law demands more.
It really protects against assumptions about intent.
Which leads to a fascinating thought for today, doesn't it? Given how these rules developed, relying on things like, witnesses seeing someone sharpen a knife or tracking travel time.
Physical evidence of planning.
Right. How might modern technology, things like digital messages, incriminating search histories, GPS tracking from phones, how might that change the game for proving these elements today? Does it make proving that precise time of determination or the manifest indication easier, or maybe just different?